I received a message from Noah, who is on a work assignment away from home. I've been assigned another year of work. I wanted to say no, but the company insisted it was necessary. I'll be working through New Year's and won't be able to come home for a while. I'll have to continue living alone. Even though he said that, I already knew the truth. The suspicion that he might be cheating on me was becoming more and more concrete. His words, "Who do you think is feeding you?" are still stuck in my mind. If I'm being fed by him, then who is supporting his life behind the scenes? I secretly visited Noah's apartment where he stays for work assignment. Conveniently, I was able to rent the room next door, and as I stayed there, I heard the vivid voices of a man and a woman from next door. I've reached my limit of patience more than once. But I have a strong ally by my side. Together, we plan to thoroughly corner Noah for his infidelity. Everything is in place now. Noah is the only one who hasn't realized he's slowly being surrounded. It's sad that we can't be together even though we just got married. I'm Mary, a 32-year-old housewife and part-time worker. Noah and I got married a year ago. We had been dating since our student days and were blessed by everyone when we decided to marry. Noah always had a bit of a carefree attitude, but I liked that he could get along with anyone. However, a significant event occurred in our first year of marriage. Noah was assigned to a different region. His company had branches nationwide, so we were prepared for this. I quitted my job when we got married to prepare for the move, working part-time at a national chain store run by the same company. When I started preparing for the move, Noah said something unexpected. "I want to go on this assignment alone, not as a transfer." I was shocked and asked him again, but his mind seemed made up. "The costs will be covered by the company, and our hometown is here, so I want to keep our home here. I think I'll be back in a year." But we were still in our newlywed phase, and we didn't have children yet. No matter how many times I said I wanted to go with him, Noah wouldn't budge. The discussion went on for days without progress. In fact, Noah's attitude only became more stubborn. One night, Noah came home late from his company's New Year's party in a very good mood. It was just after Christmas, but he was humming Christmas songs. He seemed completely unconcerned about our upcoming move. "Man, I got gifts from some girls. I guess I'm pretty popular." Noah started talking about it, although I didn't ask. He seemed like a child excited about a field trip. "You don't seem lonely at all. Aren't you worried about living alone?" "I've lived alone before, I'll be fine." "Aren't you sad about being away from me?" "Don't talk like a kid. Can't you even handle that much?" Noah got sullen when I dampened his spirits. "I want to go with you," I muttered, and Noah kicked the table hard. "The work assignment is settled. Don't nag about something that's already decided. It's my job, so I have no choice. Who do you think is feeding you?" After seeing Noah's attitude, I swore to myself not to talk about moving anymore. And so, as planned, Noah moved to his work assignment at the start of the new fiscal year. He's been assigned to a place about a 3-hour train ride away, in a colder region. After Noah left, I went straight to the pet store and bought a small indoor dog to ease my loneliness. A new life began. Noah doesn't cook at all. I made a week's worth of meals and sent them to Noah's place every week by courier. It was quite a bit of work to prepare the meals all at once, but I couldn't help but do my best when he said, "I want to eat your cooking." I also paid for the groceries, so essentially, I was bearing the cost of our household's food expenses. Even after he moved, Noah came back here almost every week. He said my cooking made him feel better. I was more than happy to hear that, and I told him several times that these moments made enduring the daily loneliness bearable. At some point, Noah's souvenirs started to become more luxurious. Initially, they were just local snacks, but now he's buying expensive items sold in department stores. To save on living expenses, Noah deliberately chose to live in a cheap apartment. I did receive some money from Noah, but I couldn't indulge in luxury without him and cut down on expenses as much as possible. The money I spent was about the same as what we spent on Noah's food. I don't need a souvenir every time. I'm just happy you come back healthy. What? Are you unhappy with my gifts? It's not that, but they're so luxurious that it worries me. That was my honest feeling. I didn't want him to overexert himself, especially since traveling alone is tiring. Since when did you become someone who can't accept someone's actions sincerely? Noah lost his temper and threw the cake he brought as a souvenir on the floor. Looking at the ruined cake, I felt like crying. That's not what I meant. It's annoying to be with you. I'll go back today without staying over. I panicked. The last train was approaching. But Noah just picked up his bag and left the house. When I hurriedly followed him, I noticed Noah on the phone with someone, just a little way from the house. Yeah, that's right. My wife is terrible. Can you come out tonight? I've got some free time, and I'd like to spend it with you, Lily. I'll treat you to my cooking. His tone was completely different from before, almost like he was sweet-talking. The content of the conversation was strange. Until now, I had never considered it, but could Noah be having an affair where he's assigned? Were the increasingly lavish gifts his way of making up for something? Unpleasant thoughts kept swirling in my mind. In the end, I couldn't bring myself to call out to Noah. The next day, Noah contacted me. He said his assignment period had been extended by another year. About yesterday, I couldn't tell you because of what happened, but I've been assigned another year of work. I wanted to refuse, but the company insisted, and I had no choice. I'll be working through New Year's and won't be able to come home for a while. I'll have to continue living alone. I felt like everything went dark before my eyes. The following week, I talked to a coworker at my part-time job about what happened over the weekend. Her husband works at the same company as Noah, and we've become close. Then, she told me a completely different story than what Noah had said. I heard from her whose husband wanted to transfer to the same area as Noah for his assignment. It seemed almost certain to happen, but Noah firmly refused, and the transfer was called off. It was surprising because Noah's work in that area was expected to wrap up within the fiscal year, and he seemed happy to return here. In my mind, various facts connected. Noah must be having an affair at his assignment location. Perhaps he didn't want to leave his affair partner and requested an extension. Maybe his insistence on going alone and not moving with me was to find someone attractive at his new location. There's no way to confirm anything from afar. Frustrated and restless, I spent time. I used a long weekend to secretly visit Noah's residence. I had been strictly forbidden from visiting him there, so this was my first time in the area since we moved. The area was colder than where I usually live, biting to the bone. Regretting my usual habit of dressing lightly, I felt underdressed for the weather. Noah's place was an old apartment, mostly inhabited by students. It was without modern amenities like automatic locks or elevators. Sitting in a cafe in front of his house, I saw Noah return with a young woman. They were holding hands, looking happy. Noah was holding grocery bags. Noah and the woman's appearance looked unmistakably like that of newlyweds or a couple living together. That night, back in my hotel, I messaged Noah. It's getting cold here. Take care of yourself. He simply replied, got it. I asked if we could talk on the phone because I was lonely, but he said he was about to take a bath and asked to skip the call tonight. Imagining him with another woman, I felt a sting of jealousy. The next morning, sitting early in the same cafe, I saw Noah and the woman leave the apartment. They seemed to head out for the day. Once they were gone, I approached the apartment. The landlord seemed to live in one of the ground floor apartments. I boldly rang the doorbell of her apartment. A kind-looking elderly lady came out. I quickly lied, claiming to be Noah's sister, and she warmly welcomed me in. The landlord said she'd seen Noah with a pleasant-looking woman and watched them fondly. When I mentioned wanting to see Noah but missing him, she kindly told me about his usual return times. While I appreciated her concern, this confirmed Noah's infidelity. She seemed happy to have someone to talk to, living quietly alone. While chatting, I heard someone return to the floor above Noah's apartment. The building, seemingly made of wood, carried sound well. Noah's apartment was directly above the landlord's. She seemed a bit hard of hearing, not much bothered by the noises. But her responses were sharp, younger than someone at her age, perhaps. I engaged in small talk with the landlord while keeping an ear out for the sounds above. Eventually, I heard the door close. The woman had left. Noah didn't accompany her. I could see her walking away alone from the window. After thanking the landlord politely, I left the apartment. And I discreetly followed the woman. She headed to the train station and, surprisingly, met a young man there. He could easily pass for a model, quite handsome. He seemed to have just returned from somewhere by train, and they went home together. The woman appeared to be married. She made her relationship with Noah an affair. In the chilling winds, my heart felt equally frozen. Pondering my next move against them, I boarded the train back. The festive holiday mood was lost on me, heavy-hearted as I was. Noah had already declared he wouldn't be returning for Christmas holiday. He used to come back for seasonal events, even if it meant stretching himself thin. Using Christmas holiday break, I decided to visit Noah again. I had enough for travel and accommodation, thanks to my savings. A coworker agreed to cover my part-time shifts. Thinking it might be a long stay, I brought my dog Steven from home. And, to my surprise, I ended up in the apartment next to Noah's. While searching for a place to stay, I had the idea to rent in that same apartment. Searching online, several apartments were available, but the one next to Noah's wasn't listed. Unable to give up, I called the landlord, whom I'd contacted during my last stay. That apartment was already leased for the next spring, not currently advertised. When I asked if I could rent it short-term, the landlord happily agreed. She even offered a discount on the fees. So, I found myself in an apartment in the same building as Noah. Upon entering, the scent of the wooden building was evident. It hadn't been cleaned since the last tenant left, but it was sufficient for a short stay. I laid out a bed mattress in a corner of the room, planning for the next day. Then I heard someone return to the next room. It seemed Noah had brought a woman home again. The thin walls of the wooden apartment let almost every sound through. I heard the woman's voice. Noah's cooking is always so delicious. But Noah can't cook, he has no culinary skills. Realizing she was eating my cooking, I felt a shiver down my spine. Unwittingly, I had been helping raise his stock. Listening to them enjoy the meal made me feel sick. At first, they seemed to be dining together, but then the conversation stopped, replaced by more intimate sounds. I managed to record it on my smartphone, feeling nauseated. I spent almost the entire night sleepless. The next morning, while they seemed still asleep, I started my plan. I went to the station where I had seen the woman meet what seemed to be her husband, and followed the route home. Walking through the residential area, I saw a well-groomed man approaching. His distinctive eyes were memorable. It was unmistakably the husband of the woman with Noah. I approached and spoke to him. "Excuse me, my name is Mary. This is sudden, but it seems your wife is having an affair with my husband." "What are you talking about?" "I'm sorry. I'm currently investigating my husband, and I saw your wife meeting you at the station before." The husband, who introduced himself as Lucas, said it was routine for him to meet his wife Lily at the station when returning from work. "I'm sorry for the suddenness, but I have evidence. Can I have a moment of your time? I'm heading to work now. Tonight might be better. Lily's been coming home late recently. She's been out a lot with year-end gatherings and such. Is after work okay?" Lucas, still only 28, appeared to be running a restaurant. After closing the shop, we agreed to talk there. That night, Lucas and I listened to the recording from the previous night in the dimly lit dining area. I braced myself, but it was still a tough listen. That's definitely Lily's voice. Lucas quickly decided what to do next. He wanted to stay in the apartment I was temporarily living in. Having been acting alone until now, his presence felt like a newfound hope. Though a stranger, Lucas was also directly involved. I couldn't ask for a more solid partner in this situation. Lucas hurriedly packed up at home and came to my room. My dog Steven joyfully ran to him, instantly taking a liking. "I'm glad. Lily hates dogs, so we couldn't have one at home," he said quietly, ensuring next door couldn't hear. as he affectionately played with Stephen. Next door, it seemed Lily had come to Noah's room again. They sounded festive, with year-end approaching. And their caution about the affair seemed to be fading. Soon, those all-too-familiar intimate sounds began again. Lucas, now certain of the affair, bit his lip, listening intently. I pressed my ear against the wall but accidentally made a thump. The sounds from next door stopped momentarily. Lucas and I communicated in writing to keep quiet. He wrote, "That's good. Let's do more." We began to rhythmically knock on the wall in time with the noise next door. Each time we made a sound, their noise paused, amusing us to no end. Our notes escalated, faster. Like a samba rhythm. We got carried away, beating the wall enthusiastically. Stephen seemed to enjoy the rhythm too, tapping his feet. Of course we laughed silently. It was funny how the sounds from next door paused every time we knocked on the wall, but what was truly adorable was Stephen getting excited and dancing to the rhythm. Eventually, Noah couldn't stand it any longer. Supposed to be an empty room next door. I'll check it out. I heard the door open, then our intercom rang. Lucas wrote, "I'll handle it," and went to the door. He decided to talk through the door. He pinched his nose to disguise his voice. "Hey, it's kind of noisy. Sorry, I'm moving in, can I come by later to say hello?" Noah sounded flustered. "Now? If it's just greetings, please another time. I'm busy right now." We heard Noah's footsteps returning. I whispered a comment. "Lucas, Noah doesn't know you, so you didn't really need to pinch your nose, did you?" "Well, you never know," Lucas said, still pinching his nose. We found it funny and again had to stifle our laughter. The situation next door wasn't as lighthearted. They seemed to completely put off, no more strange noises, but instead, they started arguing. "It's your fault for not complaining about the noise earlier, they just kept being loud. Why didn't you go then? Hurry up and get dressed, you look ridiculous." Their argument escalated, exposing each other's flaws. "Noah, you always act so bossy when you're in a bad mood. I'm not your subordinate." It was undoubtedly the usual Noah. I recorded everything without missing a beat. In the midst of their fight, I sent Noah a message. "So you're not coming back for New Year's? Makes me suspect you're cheating." The fight paused, and his reply came quickly. "That's rude. If I were cheating, I'd pay you any amount of alimony." I mentally noted his words. Lucas had the day off from his restaurant the next day, but he left early in the morning to clean it up. He then safely made it to my apartment without Noah noticing. We decided to cook dinner together. I'm pretty good at cooking, but I'm no match for Lucas, the professional. Cooking together felt like making a new friend. While we were eating, we heard talking from the next room. Noah seemed to be on the phone. "Oh. You're free today? Come over then." They had apparently made up after last night's fight. Soon, it seemed Lily had arrived. And those irritating sounds started again in the afternoon. "Here's our chance," Lucas wrote on a piece of paper. We finally decided to confront them. I rang Noah's doorbell. There was a scramble of noise, and soon a disgruntled Noah appeared. He was surprised to see me, eyes wide, speechless. We even brought Stephen along for the confrontation. "What are you doing here?" Explanations later. "It's cold, can we come in?" With that, we barged into the room. Lily was wrapped in a blanket on the bed, turning her back to us. "What are you doing here? And who's that guy with you?" "He's my partner." I deliberately kept it vague. But it was clear we were partners in investigating the affair. "So, you've got a man now. Came all this way to tell me about your affair, huh? Don't mess with me." Once Noah loses his temper, he can't stop. Unaware that I knew the truth, he started a long-winded rant. "When I'm working so far away, you think it's okay to cheat? I'll make sure to get a hefty alimony from you." Just curious, how much would that alimony be? I've heard the going rate is about $60,000. But since you've caused me even more mental anguish, let's make it $100,000. Noah, oblivious and smug, was quite the sight. After all, right behind him was undeniable proof of his affair. Okay, but who's that behind you? Just a friend. She said she's feeling sick with a cold, so I'm taking care of her. Noah, with his shirt buttons mismatched and hair all messed up. He clearly had just been cheating. Stop beating around the bush and sign this now. Before I could say anything, Noah pulled out a document from a cupboard. It was a divorce paper. It was already filled out on his end. Quite the preparation. I got it just in case. He must have intended to marry his mistress. Preparing such a document, extending his work assignment, he was that smitten. Without hesitation, I signed the divorce paper and put it in my bag. That's when Lucas spoke up. By the way, has my wife come here? Wife? You're pretty young to be married. I told you, only a friend is here. Lucas walked over to the bed and pulled off the blanket. There lay Lily in a compromising position. Lucas, why are you here? Lily, you know this guy? She's my wife. Noah looked utterly shocked. Lily, you said you were single, didn't you? I never thought I'd get caught. How did this happen? That's my line. This whole ordeal has been one of the most unpleasant experiences of my life. No need for explanations. You two were having an affair. Lucas pulled out a divorce paper from his pocket and thrust it at Lily. You know what to do, right? Lily reluctantly started to sign the paper. It's okay. We're getting divorced. You can be free with Noah now. It was just for a limited time. Lucas is clearly more handsome and has more prospects. I never really intended to leave Mary. It was just a momentary lapse. Preparing divorce papers and saying that unbelievable. If it wasn't serious, that makes it even worse. Noah was pacing around the cramped room. The sound of his footsteps must surely be heard by the landlord. Stop it, it's noisy. This apartment carries sound easily. I played the recordings from my phone. The recordings of their noises and arguments were playing. And I showed Noah's message. You said you'd pay me hundreds of thousands in alimony, right? Noah, resolute, knelt at my feet. Forgive me. I was wrong. I won't cheat again. Please call off the divorce. It's not that easy. I've suffered emotional distress, so just alimony won't cut it. Getting caught cheating while on assignment is unprecedented. If this gets out, I can't stay at the company. Please. Don't worry, I'll contact your company myself. Noah was almost in tears. Lily also started sobbing. Lily, did you enjoy your limited-time affair? But it's over now. You're done. Why don't you get dressed? Lucas, unfazed, kept presenting the divorce papers to her. Slowly, Lily got dressed and finally signed the divorce papers. Noah suddenly stood up and started kicking things around the room in frustration. In his irritation, he kicked Stephen's cage, lost his balance, and fell. The cage door opened, and Stephen bit into Noah's thigh. Normally quiet and not one to bite, Stephen's grip was strong. Noah cried in pain. His pathetic state made Lucas point and laugh. I, too, couldn't help but laugh, thinking how silly I was to endure loneliness for such a person. Dog-hating Lily screamed and fled to a corner of the bed. Eventually, she sat stunned, her dreams shattered by the sight of foolish Noah. I returned home and reported everything to Noah's company. While there was no official reprimand for the affair, the news spread through every corner of the company. Especially the woman who first took my call at the company, known behind the scenes as the broadcast station, seemed to have spread the rumors far and wide without any prompting from me. When Noah showed up at work, the bite from Stephen was still hurting, making him walk with a limp, which apparently caused some snickers around the office. Feeling unwelcome, Noah quit. Even after returning home, he struggled to find a new job, ending up in a worse position than before. He hadn't really worked much at his previous assignment, too busy with women. No skills were developed, which was expected. Of course, I had explained everything to Noah's parents. As a result, they disowned him, leaving him with no one to turn to. Now, he lives in an even worse apartment than the one on assignment, struggling to pay alimony. Lily, divorced from Lucas, is job hunting. But in her small-town community, the rumors have grown. Making it impossible to find decent work, she's ended up working in a nightclub. After my divorce, I was promoted from part-time to full-time, discovering the joy of self-sufficiency. Lucas and I became good friends, consulting each other when we hit snags at work. The colleague who helped me through my troubles with Noah has become a strong ally. And of course, Stephen is still full of energy. He eats well, plays a lot, and soothes my work fatigue. With the alimony from Noah, I plan to move to a nicer apartment where Stephen can enjoy himself more. I don't know what is in store for me in the future, but I hope to become strong and resilient and live a life in which I can survive on my own.